What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Two for Two, your sports podcast for the culture, by the voice of the culture. I'm your host, Quis, and I'm here with my co-host, Nell, as always. And we back with another episode for y'all, man. We took a week off. Wasn't much going on in the sports cycle, so we gave it a little time. And boy, do we have a really exciting show for y'all today, man. It's season 3, episode 30, the big 3-0, man. Everybody enjoy it. Nell, my brother, how you feeling today, dog?
Good, man. Week rest. I needed the bye week to rejuvenate myself, and I'm good to go.
Hey man, we got a lot to cover, bro, on all fronts. We got some football news with the combine and some free agency stuff going on. We got NBA stuff. The GOAT, LeBron James did some good stuff. The GOAT, Caitlin Clark did some good stuff. And we're gonna go ahead and get into it, man. So let's start with Caitlin
Throwing
Clark,
around
man.
that goat. We be throwing around that goat
Hey,
term a little too loosely now these days.
hey, Caitlin Clark. She just broke the NCAA scoring record, man. Pete Maravich's all-time
It's
NCAA.
a little tainted if you ask me. But
I mean,
let me
hey,
chill.
I am asking you.
Let me
I
chill
mean,
before they start coming for me.
we canceled. Yeah, man. But so, in all seriousness, Caitlin Clark, a women's basketball player for Iowa. If you don't know her, you should. But she broke Pete Maravich's longtime NCAA scoring record, a record that I don't know if I ever thought it would be broken, but she broke it nevertheless, man. That's a big thing for Caitlin Clark, big thing for Iowa women's basketball, a big thing for basketball in general. So now just tell me, what do you think? Like, what does this mean for her legacy as a women's college basketball player? And then a little bit about the impact for this type of record being held by Caitlin Clark. What does that mean for the women's game moving forward?
Yeah, I think it certainly means a lot. I think a lot of people, if you ask them like who scored the most in, college history, I don't think a woman would be first on their minds. So, I mean, for her to have the record, both men's and women's, it's a great accomplishment. I mean, Pete averaged 44 a game, which was just like insane. Obviously, he could only play 3 seasons. Freshmen back then weren't allowed on varsity, no 3-point line, but that shouldn't take away from, the greatness of Caitlin Clark. And like you
Right.
said, her impact just on not just college basketball, but women's basketball. Uh, Sunday's game against Ohio State was the most expensive ticket in women's basketball history. Um, you got to look at that. Like people are showing up to see Caitlin Clark. There aren't a lot of big names on the men's side of college basketball this year, but everyone knows about Caitlin Clark, uh, Juju Watkins. There's a
Yeah.
plethora of women in college basketball this year that have just big names, star written all over them. And I think college basketball, certainly for women, has been probably as popular as it's ever been. I know for me, like I'm tuning into more, college games on the women's side. I'll be tuning into, the tournament this year to, see who wins that championship. So I just think it's just she's putting a lot of eyes on the product. I remember when I first got into the WNBA, it was Candace Parker that really drew me in. I was a big fan of hers, and I think she kind of has that same uh, magnetism to her, where she's just drawing a lot of eyes that wouldn't normally watch, women's basketball, and she's bringing that kind of fan base in. So her impact has been huge. A lot of people have been calling her the Steph Curry of women's basketball. The way she shoots the ball, going left, going right, certainly see that comparison. Um, so I mean, yeah, I mean she started early. I mean, 27 points in her debut as a freshman, 40-point triple double in the tournament. Only player with 3,000 points, 750 rebounds, 750 assists. So, just hats off to her. Just an incredible career, and look forward to seeing her in the WNBA because she's done a lot for the game of women's basketball, and I think her star power is gonna just bring a lot of fans, and it's gonna be good for the WNBA as well.
Yeah, it's a really great time for women's sports, women's basketball. To your point, like there's so many like social media, I think has helped, right? It's aided in these young ladies being able to build their own fame, their own popularity, their own stardom, but also, I mean, just the way that
She's
they
she's
play.
making more NIL money than Shador Sanders.
Exactly. And that's something that you would never, the average person probably wouldn't even know that, wouldn't even think to know. But like just what she's done like you said, to the eyes that she's brought to the women's game, and it's not just her. Like, Dawn Staley does a great job, right? We got Paige Beckers at UConn. There's a lot of really good women's basketball players. I only named two, but just looking at the game, like we're getting a lot more attention, a lot more eyes on the women's game, and people are starting to see, like you said, that there's so much individual talent, right? There's so many really, really, really good players. Um, and Caitlin Clark is she's just a different level, right? She's doing something that like I said, I didn't think I'd see it. That's a lot of a lot of points. Like you said, P Mavericks averaged 44 points a game. Like for her to do that in the time that she's been in college basketball from the day she stepped foot in to now is like we're just going to continue to see more and more young ladies. You talk about Juju Watkins, like these women can play basketball and they play the game the right way. They bring some swag to the game. They bring some excitement to the game. And it's really like to me, I remember being at University of Tennessee my freshman year. I was going to Tennessee basketball games, men's and women's games. And at that time, the women's games were always more full than the men's games. And that's something that I think, having a star like Caitlin Clark, it helps because it shows you like, look, there was already a really good following, right? And there's now even a even bigger following for the women's game. So I'm really impressed. I watched that game as well. One of my best friends coaches at James Madison, and I'll be watching the tournament for them. But I'll definitely watching to see what happens. And there's going to be some really, really big matchups in the women's tournament this year. It's going to be some. We're going to see. There's Norfolk State, for example. Don Staley talked about HBCU programs always being listed as the lowest seed in the tournament. Well, I sat and watched Norfolk State women's team play the other day, and I mean that's not a 16 seed team, right? And I think that just goes to speak for how deep the women's game is now, and it's good to see that these young ladies are starting to really showcase who they are and showcase their individual talents in a very, very positive way, in a good way for the game. Bringing attitude, bringing swag, bringing that fire, and bringing themselves and that personality with them, and that young ladies and other just honestly just avid sports watchers are able to cling to these women athletes just like a LeBron, just like a Victor Wembanyama, just like you said, the men's game, there aren't as many big name guys right now, right? Like we talking about the NBA draft, and the main guys are all international that we talking about. We talking about Rob Dillingham, who's one of the better players in the country, but he won't be a number one pick in the draft. You know what I'm saying? Like, but you know who Caitlin Clark is. You know what I'm saying? Angel Reese. These young ladies that have really kind of taken the eyes from the men's game and put it on the women's game because it's just to me right now, it's a little bit more exciting, and that's good for the game. And that's good for basketball. And that's good for college sports as well. And it's great for these young ladies. And Caitlin Clark, when she gets to the NBA, I mean the WNBA, it's gonna be crazy. I mean, she got Maya Moore to come out to Iowa, man, and watch her play.
Yeah.
Like come on, like Maya
I
Moore
think
don't leave the
Travis
house.
Scott was at the game
You
too,
know
if
what I'm
I'm not
saying?
mistaken.
Like Maya Moore, yeah, Travis Scott was there. Jake from State Farm was there. Like, hey, it was deep in there to watch that, and that's something that's really good for the game, man. So we just wanted to give
Her, by the way, her getting the record on the free throw was corny,
it was very lame. I was very
cornball.
lame.
If I
Yeah,
was
I
her,
was.
I would have been like, somebody else can shoot these free
Yeah, she
throws.
she was trying to get that three ball off. She
Yeah,
she,
she,
she
a
would have
deep
shot the
one
jump
too.
from. She was gonna shoot it from half court if she could have, and that was the plan. It was, and so
She could have kept shooting them until she broke the record on
oh,
that one.
absolutely,
Ain't nobody showing no highlight of her hitting a free throw. Ain't nobody
right.
trying to see
That
that.
that's a little anticlimactic, but nonetheless, we had to start off the pod, man. Give a shout out to Caitlin Clark. Shout out to the women's sports, man. And it's March Madness season, so all of y'all that's gonna go and make brackets for the men's game, do the same thing for the women's game. I promise you, you might be slightly more entertained this year. I assure you. But speaking of goats, man, LeBron James
LeBron
also
James.
officially 40,000 career points in the NBA. This is the NBA scoring leader right now, all-time leader. LeBron James with a bucket against the Denver Nuggets finally overtook 40,000 points, man. Just tell me about it, Nell. How's it feel for you to see that as a fan? What does it mean for the game of basketball? Will we ever see somebody break 40,000 points again? I think I saw they asked somebody and they were like maybe Steph because of how well he can shoot the ball. But do you realistically see another player breaking that
Steph
anytime?
is 35
Yeah,
and
I,
not
I, I
even
don't know who
half.
said that. I can't
He's
remember exactly
not
who said
even
it.
halfway. It was AD.
It
It's
was
not
AD. Okay,
even.
okay.
He's not even halfway there. So he's not in the conversation. Let's just keep that. If anybody's gonna get to 40K, they're probably still in middle school or haven't been
Right,
born
right.
yet. Um, but to talk about LeBron and that milestone that he achieved, I mean, it just speaks to the longevity, the durability, consistent greatness year in and year out from him. I understand in a lot of people's eyes, like he's the closest to Jordan or he's better than Jordan. Um, so I understand those comparisons are going to come. He's was labeled the chosen one coming in. Um, but I just feel like we're doing a disservice to him and what he's meant to the game by constantly bringing up Jordan
I'm
whenever
so glad you said that, man.
he breaks a new record or surpasses a new milestone. Because as fans, we should just be soaking it all in, enjoying his last ride. We don't know how long he has left. He could probably go in another 2 to 5 years, but we don't know whenever he's gonna feel like it's time for him to hang it up. So we should really just be enjoying this last ride that he's on. For him to, be 20 years in and still averaging 25, 7 and 7, like it's just crazy, and it just speaks to, like I said, his consistent greatness. He's meant so much to the game. So when he hangs it up, the game just won't be the same. So we should really just like soak it in and just enjoy LeBron's greatness without always trying to compare him to somebody else. Because at the end of the day, look, there is no LeBron James. That I don't know if we might in our lifetime never see somebody surpass 40,000 points. I know he's up there in rebounds and assists as well, all time playoff leading scorer. Been to the finals 50% of his career. Like it's just unheard of. Like I just don't know if we'll see another player reach the kind of milestones and records that he has. So really just gotta sit back and just enjoy greatness. Like he said when we were coming in the Nike campaign, we're all witness.
Yeah, it's that's I love how you said that, man. It's tough that every time we talk about somebody in today's society, it's always a comparison to somebody or something else. It really hurts uh guys' legacies, right? To just be in constant comparison. It's made the NBA become like we talked about it a couple pods ago, man. Like every time something happens, somebody's trying to compare, somebody's trying to talk down or say that, oh, take it away for whatever reason. It's like, man, do you realize how crazy this sounds? This man scored 40,000 career points. Like,
Yo,
regardless of who he is,
Vince Carter was averaging like 2 points a game when he was 38. Like just to put it
and
in
and
perspective,
and,
like
and that, and that
we don't see this kind of greatness
exactly.
often, if ever.
Exactly. And to piggyback off that, like, bro, how old were you when you watched more than a game?
Uh, I'm not sure.
Maybe what, 12, 13, probably
Probably,
middle
yeah,
school, right? We
yeah,
almost
somewhere
30.
around there.
We almost 30.
Yes,
And this man is
longevity,
like
longevity
he
is just
it's
it's
not
crazy.
just this guy been playing forever. Like there's guys like gridiron guys, like Robert Parrish, we talk about he always played. Like, bro, this man's the best player on his team. He to be the best player on your team from the day you step foot in the league to the day you leave the league is absurd. Especially in today's game where the game itself, we've already acknowledged how much deeper the game has gotten in terms of like player talent from 1 to 15 on the roster. Like for you to tell me you can go get the first round pick, draft him, and LeBron James still arguably will be the best player on that roster, it's crazy. Anthony Davis is a guy that at one point in time we considered a top five, top 10 guy in the league, talent wise, playing still at a very high level as well. Still not the best player on the Lakers. You know what I'm saying? Like at the end of the day, Darvin Ham said what? Brown was sitting on the bench, had to pull his cape from under him and go save us. Like,
Nah, he
you
said
know,
some pause stuff. He said he had to whip it out. I was like, Ham,
I did need to,
please,
I had to say
bro.
that. But so that like to the point is like this man, what he's doing is nothing short of greatness, right? To come in with that level of expectation, that level of height, and to not just own it, but own it live up to it and surpass it. Like I still don't think people thought he was getting 40,000 points
I mean, no
in
one
his career.
thinks you're
You know what
getting
I'm saying? Like that's a number
40,000.
that you can't even fathom. Like to
Yeah.
average 40,000 points, what you have to average on a yearly basis, how many games you can't miss. You know what I'm saying? That's I could go on and on about this. I've been arguing about LeBron a lot lately, just because, like you said, a lot of people like to do the comparison thing. But we got to soak this all in, man. We all saw Kobe's last ride, and LeBron's last ride is going to be that times 10. It's going to be that.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
It's LeBron. Kobe ain't want. We just talked about it. Kobe didn't want it the way that LeBron going milk that jump. And like you
You might be
said,
right.
he could play for
This
three.
is the LeBron that said he isn't great with taking in all the praise and whatnot and
Like,
compliments of.
hey, dude, you started your career like
Yeah.
this. What are you talking? What are we talking about?
Yeah,
So,
that's him.
like, LeBron, man, look, we gotta give him his flowers, and that's all I wanted to say, man. I just want people to start giving their flowers, regardless of whether or not you like the man as a person, regardless of not you like the Lakers, regardless of not you like that he went on to the Heat. What you cannot deny is what he has done, and that's something that, like, hey, for me to the community, man, we gotta really start just embracing our guys, man. Really out here trying to make. I mean, Brown a good guy. You know what I'm saying? He's not out here robbing people and stealing from the
Great
poor.
guy.
You know what I'm saying?
Look,
Like,
man, we know how toxic the NBA community could
exactly.
get,
Yeah.
but that's why I said, like, it really won't hit a lot of fans until
Till he's gone. Right.
he doesn't come back that next year. And now there is no making fun of LeBron missing a 3-pointer or a clutch
Right.
shot here and there,
Right. The,
the
the,
off
the,
game here, off 20 points here. Like,
I got 19 and 10. That's a bad game at 38. Like, get out of here, bro. Like, this
now you
absurd.
got your superstars that are fragile, can only play half the season,
Bro,
every other game.
I really don't think we'll see another superstar play this long and be this good ever again. And that's just that on to me, man. I feel like, to your point, man, we got great players. Luka, Jokic, Embiid, Ant, Shea, and LeBron is still right up there with him, still playing. And there's no way of knowing that any of those guys will play for as long as LeBron has, let alone play for that long and be as effective. So that's why we need to embrace everybody in that moment, whether it's LeBron, whether it's the Joker, whatever. Like, we're as basketball fans, we're blessed with so
We
much
not
talent.
embracing Joker. Sorry,
You can let
we
it
ain't
go.
doing that here.
He
We
might
ain't
get another.
embracing. We ain't
Hey, but you
embracing
know who we
Joker
should
here.
embrace to move on from LeBron, man. Something that we talked about in the group chat. Victor Wembanyama has taken, I think, what they said on Twitter, he's taken 3 leaps in one season. I mean, the man went for what? He played like 20 something minutes a game.
Hey, you tried to tell me Chet still had a chance at that Rookie of the
I
Year.
did, and I apologize. I lied.
Yeah,
I was wrong. Victor Wembanyama has officially taken another step. I don't know. I know you probably got the stats. I don't
I
know.
don't. I don't.
Well,
But my eyes been telling
right.
me
The odds is, look,
he been on another level.
we talking about GOAT watch, man. I'm officially stamping the next GOAT watch to be on Victor Wembanyama. Just similar to LeBron, right? You see how we segue from LeBron? We went from Caitlin, LeBron, now we on to the next in Wemby. In a sense of, this man has enough talent now to really change this game forever.
Yeah, when I was watching the game against the Pacers the other day, I was thinking, like, when he gets, like, his grown man body, and
Oh,
he really figures out the league, like, he might be 35 a game. Like,
bro, that we talking about.
God forbid he gets like an elite point guard on his team that can, really dime him up. Because I mean, you
Right.
just throw it to the rim and he's just catching it and dunking. Like, it don't matter who's there. Like,
This man might be. He
you're
might
just
go
catching
down.
his poster.
He might go down as one of the most like highest scoring average and like field goal percentage, like on
If
some like Zion
he
Williamson numbers. Like Zion
Yeah, like
Williamson
if
numbers,
he
but
gets like Embiid's mentality to be like,
I'm gonna take like
I'm taking like 20-25 shots a night. I don't
bro.
see why he won't be like a 30 to 35 point per game guy in like
Yeah,
2 to 3
absolutely.
years
This this
max.
this is just this is just for everybody that's listening. This is just another Wimby watch announcement from us, right? We're letting you know again
Not to
that if you
mention, as a rookie, he's already the best rim protector in the league.
in the league, bro,
The best, number
he
one.
remember when we did the top 10 and I was like, I might should have put him at 10.
I agreed with you.
I think he deserves to be at 10. This is with him where he's at now. The crazy part is, like you say, he's gonna get stronger. His mentality is gonna change. He's gonna eventually play with better players around him. Right? Like this man, by year 3, I don't know what we're gonna do with him in the league. I just don't know. I just don't know what we're gonna do because
I'm
it's
expecting 25 a game next year, maybe more.
man, this final push of the season, none of
It's
these
going
games matter
crazy.
for him. He's about to really just be like, hey, look, I'm gonna just show y'all what I got. And bro, and
And
you
I
can
mean,
tell he's so confident, but he's so humble with it. It's like scary. Like he's
in the
okay
first
with
half, first half of the season, like he was just kind of,
chilling,
going through the motions, just, playing within the system. Obviously, I'm pretty sure everyone's seen all the videos of,
not
him
passing the
getting
ball.
looked off when he's wide open. But I mean, you watch him now, and it's like now he's commanding the ball. They're looking for him. He's looking for the ball late in games and having that aggressive nature, looking like a go-to guy. And look, man, he's gonna be a handful.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see that, man. We just want to touch on that real quick with Wimby, what he's doing, man. Everybody, y'all need to tune in if y'all can get a chance, man. Right now, in my opinion, the games that we should be following, you got to watch LeBron. I feel like you just got to keep watching them. You got to watch those games when Wimby's playing. You need to be watching when Luka's playing. Because right now, I think those three guys right now, and Shea Gilgeous-Alexander as well, are playing some of the best basketball in the NBA currently. And it's a lot of really, really good basketball to watch. Speaking of, that's going to segue us to our next point. The Western Conference now is really, really getting spicy down there. Not just at the top where we still got the Timberwolves and the Thunder, right? But towards the bottom, that 6, 7, 8, 9, right now, as it stands, we got the Suns are at 6, half a game out from being 7. And for y'all don't know, the playing game is for those teams that are 7 and 8 and 9 and 10. So you got the Suns at 6 right now, half a game up from the Kings who are at 7. Then you got the Mavericks. Then you got the Los Angeles Lakers at 9 and the Golden State Warriors at 10, which would mean that a playing game. So is it seven plays 8, right?
Correct.
So you would have, if it ended today, Kings, Mavs, Lakers, Warriors. We've seen the Lakers, Warriors playing game now, what, 2 years in a row or something like that?
No,
Or they
two
played
years
last
ago,
year or two,
it was
2 years
like
ago.
two years ago they played in playing last
Yeah,
year. Lakers beat them in the second round of the playoffs.
that's what it was. So we're getting right now as it stands, man. Those are some crazy matchups. And let's take the Kings and say the Kings get 6. Imagine Suns, Mavs, Lakers, Warriors playing. Now, how you feeling about how things are shaking out right now in the West with the play-in, with the teams above them? How do you think this is all gonna go, man?
Oh, excuse me. Yeah, it's gonna be a wild into the season. Pretty much every game for any team in that 6 to 10 range is so important. Warriors just got the doors blown off of them by the Celtics.
50 blown.
But they've been playing really good basketball of late. Lakers, big win over OKC Monday night. Um, they've and they're a tricky team because they're 3-1 versus OKC. Um, was it 3-1 versus the Clippers? Won the season series versus the Suns. So I mean when they play the top teams, like they match up with them pretty well against every top team in the West except for the Denver Nuggets, obviously, who's beaten them like 8 straight times or something like that. Um, so obviously, if you're the Lakers, you want to try to avoid the Nuggets, any possible way. But that just speaks how just deep the conference is this year. I mean, you got all the veteran heavy hitters, at the bottom with the Warriors and Lakers and Mavs and Suns possibly, in that mix. I think the Suns will end up, keeping that
Yeah,
six
they'll probably
seed.
Mhm.
Um, with Fox and Sabonis, they can light up the scoreboard at any time. So, I mean, it's gonna be a fun, into the season. I still, playing is great, especially when you can get matchups like the Warriors and Lakers. Um, but part of me just like it's like 82. You get 82 games, and I could finish as the seventh seed and somehow still miss the playoffs. Like that
Yeah,
just doesn't sit right with me personally. I understand that, like, obviously you got your chances if you lose 2 games in a row to, the 8th seed and the 9 or 10 seed. Maybe you don't deserve to make it, but it's kind of what the 82 games are for. Like
yeah,
I did what I was supposed to do for the 82
right.
games, and I could still possibly miss the playoffs. So I mean, that part of it is kind of crazy to me. But as a fan of basketball, there's some good matchups, especially out west. Out east, it ain't necessarily as fun once you get to the play in, but out west, it's definitely worked out because there's just so many teams that could be in a playoff contention. So it's going to be a fun play in, especially if we that 9-10 matchup does stay, and you get Steph versus LeBron in the play in again. uh I would hate to see either of
Yeah,
those two teams get bounced in the play in, but they made their bed. So
yeah.
it'll be interesting into the season for
Yeah, it's
sure.
gonna be it's gonna be a fun end to the year. I feel like you in the sense of I hate to see us maybe lose LeBron or Steph for the playoffs because they got to play each other first, one and done. But like you said, they've made their bed. But I also do think both teams, Lakers and Warriors, are playing really good basketball right now. Like you said, minus that Warriors dud against the Celtics the other day. But should they continue to make? I hope they make a push, right? At least maybe make them 7 and 8, so that if one of them lose, you got another chance, something like that. That'd be cool. But you know, all that means is that the end of this season is going to be something really interesting to watch. I know LeBron and them are trying to make that push. The Kings, a team that what last year they were two, were they two?
Three,
Three?
two
Yeah,
or
I mean, I
two.
want let's remember at when we did the NBA preview, I said they wouldn't be what they were last year. That might not have been. Granted, that's not like saying much. It's the Kings, and
It's not.
De'Aaron Fox has struggled a little bit this year, but he's starting to pick it up as well. So it'll be a fun ending to the season. Nonetheless, on the east side of the spectrum, I have to go ahead and give him a little apology. I came on here and said the Bucks got to go 8-2 out of All-Star break to really, get my respect. And I mean, right now they're 6-0. They got 4 more games, but out of All-Star break, they've been going, big win just the other night for them without Giannis, right? Um, they've been beating some good teams. So now, do you think that Doc Rivers and the Milwaukee Bucks have figured it all out now after how they've started?
I do. I mean, I was the one that came on here and said, I like their chances of figuring it out, just because when you got two players the caliber of Dame and Giannis, to me, I don't know how you don't figure that out. Um, they just kind of need the rest of the pieces to come together. I expect those two for sure to, do what they do, and that's take over ball games, make shots. Giannis dominating in the paint. Good win over the Clippers. They, also beat the Nuggets before All-Star break. Got a win over the Timberwolves on the road. So they've been playing some really quality basketball. And one of the biggest issues with why they fired their coach was defensively they were struggling all season. Doc has come in and they've made a lot of improvements defensively. You add Patrick Beverly, that certainly helps out defensively. You get Brooke Lopez into a lot more comfortable positions. And, in this 6 game winning streak, they've got the number one defensive rating in the league. So, certainly Doc has come in and implemented something that has, sparked something on that defensive end. And if they can play defense that way, um, then yeah, once you get to the fourth quarter with Dame and Giannis, that's a tough duo to deal with. So that's why come playoff time, like I said, the only team that should be standing in their way is Boston.
Yeah, I mean, they got 4 more games before I say anything too crazy. But to your point, I mean, I agree with the fact that if they're gonna play like this, I think they got a big lift from Bobby Portis against the Clippers. They got a big lift. Guys like Pat Connaughton are playing well. Brook Lopez is playing a little bit better. They're playing much better defensively than they were before the All-Star break. And they keep it up at this rate. I like it. I give them some props. I definitely think it's. I mean, these are two of the top 10 guys in the league. Dame and Giannis. Both healthy. You got one of the best pure basketball players, and you got one of the most dominant just scorers in the league in Giannis, right? So that's gonna be tough to beat on any given night. To Nell's point, and if they get help from the guys, my main thing was I didn't trust Doc when it gets to that time, right? Like I understand, good coach. I mean, that's why you get a job. That's why won championship before. But we've seen what Doc has been doing as of late as a coach when it comes to decision making in those clutch moments, making the decision, being willing to not to deviate from what has been his thing forever. And that's my only deterrent really for them. It's not the talent, it's not who they have over there, because I mean, this is a team that without Dame, they were always first in the East. You know what I'm saying? You insert Dame for Drew Holiday, like we touched on, you lose some defense, but you gain a lot of offense. And you can win games like this now when Giannis doesn't play, because Dame can give you 40, right? And five, six, seven threes and carry you to a victory. And that's what they're gonna need in the playoffs. When one of those guys having an off night, the other one's gonna have to pick it up. Guys like Bobby Portis is gonna come off the bench, continue to do his thing. I do like the Pat Bev addition. I think he brings a little more attitude to that squad that helps him out a little bit as well. So, we'll see. We'll see where they go. But with that, man, you touched on the Celtics. We said it earlier, it's Celtics versus the field. After what we talked about, all of this, LeBron, the Western Conference standings, the Bucks, how locked in they are coming out of the All-Star break. We saw the Celtics, what they just did to the Warriors. You know what I'm saying? So is it still Celtics versus the field now? That'll wrap up our basketball segment, man. What you think?
I'm taking the field personally.
Ooh,
I know they look like the most dominant team in basketball right now. Uh, what if they won like 11 straight,
yeah,
like
it's
13 to
bad.
16, something crazy like that. Dominated the Warriors without Kristaps. Beat them so bad the starters didn't play the second half. They've been top three both offense and defense. But I refuse to go along with the Celtics because I don't want to see Jaylen Brown hold up the Lombardi Trophy. That's just me. Not Lombardi. What is it? The Bill O'Brien Trophy? What do they call it? Either way, I don't want to see
He's the
them win it.
Larry
I don't want
O'Brien.
Larry O'Brien.
Larry
There you go.
O'Brien. I got you. Bill,
Uh,
Bill, Bill play football. Bill coach football.
you said we was going to NFL after this, and it just
Hey, I
like hit
got
my
you. I
hit my
got you.
brain. But anyway, yeah, I don't want to see Jaylen Brown hosting up that trophy. Tatum is my guy, Duke guy. I hope he can get one day when Jaylen Brown's contract expires and he goes to a different team. But
Really?
yeah, I look they shoot a lot of threes, and any given night, like yeah, like it's kind of like the Warriors back in the day where they were like, well, you live by the three, die by the three. It's like, yeah, but if you live on the three the way they do and the way they shooting the ball, like sometimes you can live by the three and not die at all.
Yeah,
So
you're not gonna die.
they
And they
just
and they play defense, and
yeah,
that's the thing for me. They play really good team defense. They got three guys up top between Drew, Jaylen Brown, and Tatum. That'll you switch on to any three of them, you gonna get what I'm saying, you in hell, right? And then you got Porzingis protecting the rim. You got Al Horford still. You know, they got a lot, bro.
I'm not. Look. I think come playoff time, Kristaps will be barbecue chicken. That's just me. That's just me. Look, going against if Giannis's only path to the rim is going through Kristaps, I like the Bucks' chances. Uh, like even if they do get to the finals, I still like the Nuggets' chances of getting there. And if there was a Nuggets Celtics matchup, I like the Nuggets. We saw that matchup when they were in Boston. Kristaps ain't got nothing for Joker. I mean, nobody does, but he really ain't got nothing for him. So,
Yeah,
and I think Jamal Murray is just one of those dudes that like
when it's
as
time to
great
play.
as great as defense as Drew Holiday can play, like the shot making that Jamal Murray can bring sometimes it just won't matter.
Yeah.
So, I think there's a couple teams out there that, can get the Celtics. Um, but it's going to be tough. But like I said, I'm taking the field because I ain't trying to see Boston win a championship.
All right.
Look, as much as I hate the Nuggets and Jokic, I'd rather them get another one than to watch the Celtics Jaylen Brown win one. I want him to end his career with zero
What did
personally.
Jalen Brown do to you, man?
It's a lot. I mean,
Is it
look,
the
the
Taylor
Celtics
Brooks
as an
thing?
organization, look, man, he just be too hyped during Sixers games. It'd be pissing me off. And he's such a nice dude off the court,
Yeah,
but
he really
on the
is. He's a good
court,
dude.
I don't know, man. On the court, he just be making me mad. I just like they got rid
Hey,
of Marcus Smart, and I was like,
he
maybe
had the
that'll
smart hole.
maybe that'll take them back a bit, losing their heart and soul. But then they go ahead and add Drew Holiday, who I really like. So I mean, look, I like Kristaps, I like Drew, I like Tatum. They can just get rid of Jaylen Brown. I'd be okay with them winning a championship. I'd be okay.
Fair enough. Brad Stevens, hope you're
But
listening.
he still ain't got no left hand. So like when the playoffs come around,
Yeah.
that's gonna be their
I feel
Achilles
like the
heel.
Celtics are at that point where it's just like we're all like we respect how good you are, but we just know it's gonna happen. Eventually, it's gonna happen. We don't know when, but I agree with you. I think somebody else is gonna take it. Um, I would love for Jason Tatum to maybe get one, but kind of to your point, I don't really. I mean, I'm a Knicks fan. I don't really care for the Celtics either. So,
Yeah,
eh,
I don't need to see it.
yeah, no, we're good on that. We're gonna segue
I
over.
mean, it's a good chance it happens, but
No, we
I'm praying for it not to.
Porzingis don't deserve one for what he did in New York, and I won't put that on blast on here, but he don't deserve one for what he
No, he
did.
deserves one for what he did in New York. I thank him for that.
No, he should have
I
never left.
appreciate I appreciate what he did in New York.
Phil Jackson ruined the Knicks. We're gonna move off for basketball now. We're gonna go into football. We got some quick hitters, man. Not not a
Boo.
whole lot. I know Nell did not want to get back to the NFL news quite yet. You know, we did a lot of NFL,
You
but
seen Dak? You seen Dak new look?
that got a new cut, man. They say it look like Amigo.
They said the Cowboys is really back now. He just needs some jean shorts, the Jordans, and we be back.
Hey, man, the big news, the biggest news out of yesterday for me was Mike Evans re-signed with the Buccaneers. Everybody, let's go clap it up, clap it
I'm
up.
glad you said I'm glad you said
Yep,
for
yep,
you
for me,
because
for me,
it wasn't big news for anyone else.
it was because there were a lot of people that were just they just knew Mike Evans was gonna be a chief. Mike Evans was gonna go here. Mike Evans was gonna go there. Well, guess what? Y'all
I
gonna
was
watch
one of them.
Mike Evans jersey because guess whose Mike Evans jersey is ordered? Mine. See y'all in a couple weeks. But in bigger news, then Mike Evans, the Philly people run the media, right? Nobody cares about us. They care about the Kelseys. And Jason Kelsey, all pro center, Hall of Fame guy, great career, man. Jason Kelsey walks away from Philly. No more tush push for Jason Kelsey. He is retired.
Hoping
Now,
so.
what does that mean for Philly? Do you think it means much? I mean, it's one of those things where we kind of had a feeling. I mean, I know it means a lot in the sense of he's the guy on the offensive line. He's their heart and
It's a
soul
big
leader.
it's a big
You're
void in
losing
the
your
middle of
captain,
that line.
right? You're
So
losing your captain, man. He said at this point in his career, he's officially hit where he is overrated. But his impact, leadership, what he brings to the table will be missed tremendously by the Philadelphia Eagles. I know you as a Cowboys fan, I'm sure you are not losing sleep over this at all, you know?
I'm glad to see him go. I'm hoping Lane Johnson is next. And
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. So we just want to give our props, man, to Jason Kelsey. Mike Evans resigns with the Bucks. Did you have any thoughts on that other than the fact that you're hating?
I'm not hating, but I mean,
Good for Mike Evans, good for the Bucks, good for
hey,
me.
I mean, look,
Baker
he's
Mayfield.
a baller. Like,
Hey, he needs to retire, Buccaneers.
he's yet to have less than 1,000 yards in a season. I
When he
mean,
retires, it'll be just like Jason Kelsey all over again.
this is a guy that played with quarterbacks like Jameis Winston and Ryan
Yeah.
Fitzpatrick and
That's start with
Josh
him.
McCown,
Okay, now we're getting good. Mike Glennon.
Mike Glennon. Yep. So I
Let's
mean,
let's, let's get
for
into
him
the
for him not to have a season under a
what's my
thousand
man?
yards,
Josh Johnson was in there for a little bit. Mike Evans played with some sorry dudes. And
don't matter who it is, he gonna get you a
we'll
stat.
get there, man. I'm glad that he
And
continued to do it in
and it
Pewter.
looked and it looked like he still got a lot left to give. I mean, he
Oh,
him and Baker
Treat good.
obviously, built some chemistry. He had 136 targets this year. That was his most since 2018.
He still did good.
Tied for the lead in touchdowns. So I mean, look, it's a big move for the Bucks. I mean, obviously, there's no need to go out and go to an actual contender. He's already got his Super Bowl ring. So I mean, there's no reason to go chase another
Was
one.
that
I think
shady? Was that a little shady, or am I tripping?
I was definitely throwing a little shade. You're not tripping.
Okay, y'all want to play playoff game this year?
All right, let's not let's not go there,
Ah,
yo.
okay, okay,
Let's
okay,
not.
okay.
That
I'm
was
just kidding.
weird.
I'm just kidding. I'm just
That
kidding.
was not.
I'm
That
just kidding.
wasn't
I'm just kidding.
necessary. All right, man. I'll
I'm
holler
just
at you tomorrow. I'm gonna just go ahead and
Hey,
log
hey,
off.
man, look, I'm just kidding. I appreciate the love for my boy Mike, man. I'm sorry. We're going
That's crazy.
the big news though, and it's big. Pause.
Yeah, bro. What
Russell
is wrong with
Wilson
you?
cut by the Denver. It was supposed to be because the cap hit was the biggest cap hit in NFL history. Come on, let me get there. Let me get there. I'm building it up. So Russell Wilson, quarterback, former Denver Bronco, former Seahawk. What they traded? What
Five picks, two in the
five
first
picks?
round.
5 picks to get Russell Wilson over there in Denver for him to be cut as what is now known as one of the biggest. I think it is the biggest cap hit in history. I think it's like 83. Oh, that was gross. $83 million in a cap hit for cutting Russell Wilson. Is this
Yikes!
the biggest swing and a miss in NFL free agency or NFL trade history? Or
It's hard to argue against it.
yeah, he just
You
didn't give you
gave
what you know.
biggest cap hit in history. You also gave up five. The draft capital you gave up, five draft picks, two in the first round. Haven't drafted in the first round the last 2 years. Um, you got nothing to show for it. Not even a playoff game. Not one winning season. So, uh, yeah, it just didn't work out. Sucks for the Broncos.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to look to see. I'm looking at some of this stuff that they're saying. I'm trying to find exactly where he gets 39 million in cash from the Broncos in 2024. That means he could potentially
Yeah,
sign a new team, as any new contract he signs will be coming off of that 39. They will take an NFL record 85 million in dead money.
it's
For
crazy.
context, that's more than the last two dead money records in the NFL combined.
That's wild. That's yeah,
That
yeah.
that is crazy. So, man, with that, now what's next for Russ? What's next for the Broncos? I mean, I'm sure. Do we agree Russell Wilson is still a starting quarterback in this league? Like
In the right situation, I think so. Uh,
situation?
Obviously, yeah. I don't think he took over 100 sacks in just his 2 years with the Broncos. Um, we know he had back in Seattle, his tendency to, just kind of make plays out of nowhere, Houdini, getting out the pocket, but just that just hasn't been the case his last couple of years. Obviously, is the way he's been playing, just not in the red zone. They were bad last year. When he didn't have a run game, he just wasn't really efficient, and Broncos didn't really put a lot around him, but um they gave up a lot to bring him here. So I understand from the Broncos point of view of expecting him to get results with the investment that they put into him. But at his age, and obviously we see the decline now. It was happening in Seattle. His last year in Seattle wasn't great. I think there was a reason that they were willing to let him go. And I thought he still had some years left in him. But obviously at that elite level, it just didn't have it anymore.
Yeah.
Um,
It's real.
but
It's looking real like Peyton Manning-ish on the way out,
yeah, but like worse.
but way worse.
So
And
I don't know where he can go. Obviously, there's definitely a bunch of teams that can use a quarterback, and like you said, if you got a run game and a solid offensive line, I definitely think Russell Wilson can come in and if you got some weapons around him, he can maybe help you make the playoffs. But not looking great, but he's still certainly a starting caliber quarterback for, maybe like 5 to 10 teams in the league.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like at this point, so much went wrong in Denver that it's like
And it kind of started to go wrong as soon as he said Broncos Nation, let's ride. It just the ride just broke down from there.
yeah, it was added expectation that was unnecessary to begin with. I mean, like you said, he wasn't amazing. He wasn't the Russell Wilson that we all, grew to love, that last year in Seattle. And then he gets to Denver. The coach was kind of trash. The situation itself didn't seem great. It was like, oh, we have a great defense. We have a great defense. But did they, you know what I'm saying? They have questions at receiver. They got two guys in Cortland Sutton who, Cortland Sutton's really good, but Cortland Sutton gets hurt a lot, right? Jerry Judy a wide receiver one? Is he really elite? Did they really have a great tight end? And to your point as well, they didn't have much of a run game or offensive line. So, you mix all those things together, you get what you got, and I think Russell Wilson has a lot of ability in the sense of, he can still throw the ball pretty, he has a beautiful deep ball. That was his staple. I think he has pretty good leadership qualities. I would say he's a good leader. I think the Broncos time, they try to hit, come at him with that, like, he needs this. He has his own office. He does this and that and the third. I mean, Russell Wilson's a good dude, right? So I think to your point, like, you want him to get into a good situation for himself that can help him perform. Like, we've seen guys like what Joe Flacco did with the Browns. Like, is Russell Wilson worse than Joe Flacco? Probably not. You know what I'm saying? So, like, with things in plays, good coaching, all that, I still think he can elevate your team a little bit. But is he Russell Wilson that's you're like, oh, we got us one? Nah, yeah, that's over. But I also think, I think Russell Wilson's a guy that's, he's very humble as well, right? I think he'll take what has occurred and what's happened to him in Denver as that those 2 years and learn from it, come back and find a way to kind of reinvent himself to continue to play good football at a high level for at least a few more years, because there's not very many really, really elite quarterbacks in the NFL. We've talked about this so many times. Like, there's not a lot of guys that you're like, oh, yep, he's a starter on any team in the league, right? But if Russell Wilson can come in, get on a squad that'll maybe draft a quarterback as well in the second, third round, whatever, be somebody to help teach a young guy something, and we'll see what happens. I mean, I'm not gonna write Russ off yet. I think he's earned enough. He's earned enough to have enough respect that we can believe that we're not just gonna write him off yet, at least in my opinion. So I'm gonna keep letting Russ do his thing. You know what I mean? The Broncos country jump definitely wasn't ideal, and it aged poorly. But I mean, I felt like once Sean Payton got in there, it was just a matter of time before he left. Like, Sean Payton was gonna clean house regardless, unless Russell Wilson came out and had a MVP type season, he was probably gonna be gone anyway. So we won't harp too much on that. But there's another team with a quarterback problem and a quarterback situation that they got to figure out, man. The Chicago Bears sitting at one. Now they got Justin Fields and you got Caleb Williams sitting right there in the midst. You got a lot of Bears players saying, nah, keep Fields. You'd be crazy to lose Fields. DJ Moore has said it. Other NFL guys have spoken out in support of Justin Fields and the Bears keeping Justin Fields. Now you're the general manager of the Chicago Bears, man. You got one guy that they say is the best quarterback prospect since Andrew Luck. And then you got a guy that they said that basically your coaching staff doesn't know how to coach him so he can be better. What are you doing?
I'm taking the cheaper option. That's me. 5th year option could be a little over 25 million.
Even
Still
with
there's
a even
still
with a light market for him?
there's still some questions about Fields. Obviously, they looked a little better this year, but still not good enough. Not what you expected after their big off season. Um, it's a dicey situation. Uh, Caleb Williams, like I said, if we're hearing all the things about his talent and what he brings at the quarterback position, I don't know how you don't take him if you're the Bears. I can certainly understand if, they wanted to trade down for some more assets if they really believe in Fields. But I think the fact that we're still having this conversation just kind of tells you that they don't
Right.
truly, they're not all in on Justin Fields.
Yeah, they were they just say.
If they were, if they came out of the season thinking, okay, this is the guy, I there would have been a trade, or you would have heard rumblings of that. I think a bunch of people were saying, they'd be surprised if the Bears passed on him at one. I know, he's a Washington guy, so a lot of people are, kind of wondering if Washington, puts together a package to trade up. So Fields has 40 touchdowns, 30 interceptions in his career. Um, but he did have career 61% completion percentage this past year. So he's still showing improvement. He's only 25 years old. It's a tough situation, for the GM to kind of decide. He feels obviously his threat, with his legs and running the ball, being that dual threat quarterback. Uh, it's something that's valuable in the NFL now these days. But it's tough. He's had two offensive coordinators and two different coaches in his 3 years. So, certainly the Bears haven't done enough to, help with his progression. That front office and coaching staff definitely has to, take some blame for the way Justin Fields, has kind of looked in his first couple of years. And a young guy like that coming in, you've got to have, a really just stable, coaching staff, front office organization, guys around him that can, help elevate him while he progresses and, has time to make mistakes. But like I said, I just think with, the money that he's going to be owed to be able to, try to restart with the cap and have a guy that, might be just as talented, but with less of a cap hit. I think that's something that you kind of got to take advantage of, especially like I said, I think if they were really sold on Fields, this wouldn't be an argument right now.
Yeah, I mean, I fully agree with you. If you're not sold on the guy, I mean, and you can move him. I mean, if Caleb Williams is who everybody's making Caleb Williams out to be, that
Right.
would make him better than Justin Fields. So, I mean, I think it's a pretty simple, it's a pretty simple fix. Like,
And the
yeah,
trade
coach,
market isn't as high for
yeah, like,
Fields as they expected to be, and that kind of tells you something too, because
right.
obviously, if everyone thought the Bears would be stupid to let go of Fields,
Yeah,
they'd be
they put an offer.
clamoring for him.
Yeah, they put an offer, and that's you're exactly right. Like, I mean, at this point, you just get. I think it's best for both situations, right? It's best for Fields. It's best for the Bears. I don't think that I don't feel like giving him another year with everything set in stone, the same thing, you know, coaching all of that. Like, it's not much going to change, right? He got hurt. That hurt him a little bit in the season as well. I understand, but I mean, for what it's worth, for the best version of Justin Fields in the Bears offense was him running around a lot. You know what I'm saying? That's not me saying he's a running back, 'cause I'm not saying that. But I'm just saying that's when he looked at his best, is when he looked most comfortable. I think, as the Bears, you go out and you bring in a DJ Moore, you get all these weapons on defense and stuff. Like, go get you a guy that can throw the ball around. Like, go get you a guy that you're comfortable. Like, clearly, either you don't believe Justin Fields can do it, or he just can't do it because he doesn't do it and he hasn't done it, right? Like, what? At one point in time, like, he's throwing for like 100 yards a game. Like, don't be crazy. Like, I get it. Like, your players want them around, whatever, this and the third. But like, I mean, shoot, we friends. You know what I'm saying? That's my guy. Yeah, if
and
I
and
can
hope
keep you up, no, go ahead.
and hopefully, with this Justin Fields experiment, they kind of learned their lesson on, maybe how they should go about, trying to develop and with to put around a young franchise quarterback to, make sure that he can grow and progress the way that everyone expects them to.
Right. And my last thing on it is just, I think at this point for the Bears, we saw kind of the momentum that they built, adding the defensive pieces that they did, right? Even when they brought in Montez Sweat in the middle of the year, how he changed that defense. I think at this point, you draft Caleb Williams, that's a big jolt to that fan base, right? The Chicago fan base is electric. Like, these are the Bears, right? The Bears are always had a crazy fan base, whether they were good, bad, indifferent. You know what I'm saying? So at this point, you got to change something up, because if you continue to go down the same path, it's going to be that what if thing. Maybe Justin Fields just needs to go play somewhere else. But that's not, if you can get a second for him, if you can get if the Steelers want to send you Deontay Johnson for him, you get Deontay Johnson, you put him next to DJ Moore and Cole Kmet and them running backs that you now got over there that can run the ball, and you bring Caleb Williams in there, and your franchise is looking up. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things where, if in my opinion, it just makes too much sense to go ahead, draft Caleb. You don't know if you'll have a chance next year to draft another generational quarterback. You keep Justin Fields this year, he doesn't pan out. Who you drafted? You know what I'm saying?
Now you got to pay him or find
Right.
another quarterback in the draft, and
Exactly.
you just
And
passed
now
on
you
possibly
just
the best
passed on,
prospect.
exactly. You just passed on a guy that they talking about is Pat Mahomes coming in. Like, hey, I'd rather find out for myself than go ahead and play that game for too long. So we'll see what the Bears do, man. It's getting close. Draft time is in April. I think it's April 25th. So they got a little over a month to figure out what they want to do with him. But to wrap us up, man, we just had some quick combine news. Xavier Worthy, wide receiver from Texas, broke the combine record in the 40-yard dash, and he ran a 4.21. That's pretty fast. I think he broke what, John Ross. John Ross, and he ran a 4.22. You have any thoughts on that now? Any thoughts on that 4.21? It's just, good to see
I
guys
mean,
run. You don't care about underwear football.
yeah, like who cares about the combine? I mean, name me, other than Chris Johnson, name me the last superstar that came out the combine with like a fast 40-yard dash and it translated to some superstardom in the NFL.
Fair enough.
I rest
Fair
my
enough.
case.
So we'll see. That's something that we'll monitor, man. We won't get too deep into the combine, man. If you watched it, those big fellas was running out there. We got a lot of really athletic guys. I think that's the
Hey,
main
that
takeaway for
that
me.
40 is good for track though. I mean,
Hey, it is track speed. I think somebody was trying to talk about Xavier Worthy could beat Usain Bolt, and from like, oh, please stop. Like, but nevertheless, like, good for him, man. I mean, he'll definitely get his draft stock boosted from that. I mean, he's a good player. I mean, he was supposed to go to
didn't John
Michigan.
Ross like get like a crazy draft stock
Yeah,
go up crazy from that, and then
yeah.
he was
It's gonna
just
happen. They're gonna do it every single time. Like all
just
those,
nothing in
like
the NFL.
all you
Yeah,
got D linemen running 4.5s. They getting drafted early. So you go to the combine with a decent tape and you run a crazy speed. Hey, first, second, third round, you're gone. So
it's like
we'll
all of a
see.
sudden people just forget about the college tape and
Yeah. And then
they
I
just
mean,
go
in
off these
Xavier Worthy's case, it's a little bit
combines.
better, but nah, yeah, absolutely. There's nothing really to get too crazy about. It's exciting to watch in the moment. It's fun to see guys be athletic, be fast. I mean, that's the game in football, right? It's not a super duper technical sport at every single thing. And that's not me saying it's not technical. It's just like, it's not a basketball, what I'm saying? It's not a soccer, being a great athlete, being physical, being strong, being fast, that's 75%. You know what I'm saying? And the next part is those guys that can separate themselves with being technically sound. So that'll be the next step for Xavier Worthy. But nevertheless, man, that's gonna do it for us today on 2 for 2. Now, you got anything for the people to take away for this week, man?
I don't think so.
No
Yeah,
takeaways from now.
just
Everybody
just pray
continue to
for
live
the
life.
just pray for me.
Yeah, pray for Nell, man. His Sixers, he has not watched the Sixers game since Joel Embiid's departure, y'all. Like, that is sick for my boy Nell.
It's
Um,
nasty hoops in
yeah.
South Philadelphia
So,
these days.
he hasn't been intrigued, but it's a lot of good stuff going on around the league in college basketball. Caitlin Clark, March Madness is coming up. So, all of y'all out here, continue to be safe, continue to take care of yourselves, enjoy these sports, enjoy the goats, man. Enjoy the talent that we have in all of these sports, man, and just take it for what it is. Embrace the sport, help grow the sport, and continue to listen to the pod, man. Watch us, subscribe, get on the YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. The TikTok channel is going big. Nell dropped his contenders and pretenders last week for us. I'll be dropping mine pretty soon as well. So we got a lot of good stuff, a lot of good momentum, and we appreciate y'all always watching, always following, and staying up to date with us, man. That's episode 30 of season 3. We're really rolling, and we appreciate y'all as always. 2 for 2. We out.